I'm Derek Joyce and I'm here with Paul O'Murda, and this is I'm Not the Expert, but this is a podcast where we talk about everything from South Park, which we know nothing about, to quantum physics, which we also know nothing about. So grab a cup of tea, sit back and join us. There we are. Good to go. Okay. So. Yeah.
Stop saying so.
I'll have to edit all that shit out. It's that time of the year again, Hallmark Day.
Oh, yeah, card day, yeah.
Well, it's not quite Hallmark Day because we're in between episode drops. So we're dropping this on the 7th.
Yeah, so we're not quite Valentine's Day.
Yeah, but it's coming up to Valentine's week.
Yeah.
So, February 14th, 1929.
Radio.
Valentine's Day.
Yeah.
Massacre.
Al Capone, am I right in that kind of?
No, well, you know, a lot of
mob,
people,
Chicago mob, right?
You are right. But
for legal reasons, we can't say it.
Everybody thinks he did it.
Yeah.
Everybody not thinks he did it, but that he said, "Yep, do this shit."
Yeah.
But he wasn't. No one was ever caught for it.
Right.
Nobody stood trial for this.
Right.
So I mean,
now I'm coming into this completely cold down, right? Am I right in saying it was a mass shooting outside of a courtroom or outside City Hall?
It wasn't outside of a courtroom. No. And I'm sure, no. It wasn't city anything. City Hall,
okay.
City Wall, City anything.
A lot of steps or something.
It was the wall, wasn't steps.
Right, okay.
We'll get to it.
Yeah, because, give us all the background on exactly what it is and then we'll get into who did it or didn't.
Okay. February 14th, 1929. St. Valentine's Day Massacre.
Massacre? Oh, okay, English, yeah.
No, I'm just saying Massacre because that's how it's spelled. Anyway, 7 members associated with Irish-American gangster George Bugs Moran, or Moran. Bugsy Moran.
Bugsy Moran.
Were killed by several men, some of which were dressed as policemen. Now, Irish-American gangster, Irish in heavy inverted commas, quotations.
Yeah, like third generation or something probably.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. We'll get to that in a second.
Yeah.
When police did arrive, they found one man, Frank Gusenberg, barely alive, but in the moments before he died, he was interviewed by police. Who did this to you? Who did this to you?
Who did this to you? Who shot you, man?
And he refused to talk.
Right.
Even in death.
Right.
I mean, if someone shot the shit out of me and I was barely alive and I knew I was going to die, I'd be blaming everybody that ever bullied me in my life.
Yeah.
See him over there? Haven't seen him in 40 years. He did
it.
It was him. Not that bastard next door to me with a dog and he doesn't clean up after him. He did it. Yeah, I blame everyone.
But your neighbours aren't listening to this podcast, though.
Well, they just know not to mess with me. He refused to talk. And by refusing to talk, nobody had a finger pointed at them.
Nobody got fingered, yeah.
So that was it. Bugs Moran.
No, it's Bugsy Moran, wasn't it?
It's not. You're thinking of Bugsy Malone.
Yeah, but that's
a
Bugsy Moran.
Bugs Moran.
Okay.
Bugs. And the thing about Bug is I read this book on Sing Sing prison in upstate New York, I think it is.
Yeah.
And the officers in there, the prison correction officers, referred to people who are unstable as bugs. And I think that's bugged not necessarily where it came from.
I've heard that kind of bugged out kind of thing.
Bugs Moran was called Bugs because he was very unstable and he was prone to violent behaviour.
Yeah.
Well, the more we get into it, the more he had a very strange concept of morality.
Yeah.
Like it was weird.
Don't they say Jack Nicholson's Joker in the 1989 Batman movie is based on Bugs Moran?
I don't know.
Before he becomes Joker, you know, and he's
I know.
Jack Napier, he's a mobster.
It could be, but I don't know. I don't like those Batman movies, so I've never paid much.
I absolutely love the Tim Burton Batman movies.
I've never paid much attention.
They're my Batman. Definitely. Anyway, that's going way off topic now.
Yeah.
But just to get that kind of, that kind of psycho nut job.
Bug.
Yeah.
Unstable.
Yeah.
Fucking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's pretty much what we're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Bugs Moran was thought to be the target, but he was running late. So when he got there,
all his men were dead.
Well, he didn't get there. When he got close to it and he saw that there were police around, again in quotations, police, because he probably saw people that weren't police.
Yeah.
He went, get me the fuck out of here.
Yeah, he just kind of slunk off into the background.
Yeah, and he
as they do.
Was George Bugs Moran Irish? He wasn't his shite. And I looked it up and I found on an Irish website, Irish American gangster, George Bugs Moran, blah, 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 St. Valentine's Day Massacre, 1929, and then they have a whole article on him. And he wasn't Irish.
Right. Okay.
He wasn't a descendant of anybody.
So where did the whole idea that he was Irish American come from? Just because it was Moran, was it?
No. Well, you see, look, I'll get into it. Right, okay, here we go. George Bugs Moran was born in Ramsey, Minnesota on August 21st, 1893. And his name he was born under was Adelard Leo Coonan.
Coonan's quite an Irish name too.
Cunin.
Oh, Cunin, Coonan. Okay. Coonin would be an Irish name. He was
born to Marie Diana Gobeil, Gobeil.
German.
Herself born in Quebec. So she wasn't fucking German.
Okay, Canadian.
His dad was Jules Adelard Coonan, born in France.
Okay, so he was French-Canadian.
Yes.
Right.
I look back 3 generations because you can go to that genealogy website stuff. There's loads of them.
Yeah.
And his great-grandfathers on both sides, there was no Irish.
Cool.
Zip. Right. Fucking nothing.
So not Irish American.
So not Irish American.
About as Irish American as Joe Biden.
Yeah.
Or Ronald Reagan.
Actually, less.
Or Barack Obama.
Fucking less.
Yeah.
Less. Because, I mean, somewhere along the way...
Yeah, no, Biden did have, I think, at least one Irish grandfather. Yeah, no, in fairness.
Nothing.
Obama was the one that you had to go right back, though, wasn't it?
It doesn't matter. I mean, I went back to the 1700s and there was nothing in this guy's George Bugs Moran.
Yeah.
George was locked up 3 times before he was 21. He was robbing people, robbing stores, robbing off-license, all that kind of fucking shit. He became good friends with Danny Hogan, who was an Irish
That's an Irish name if I ever heard.
He was an Irish mob boss.
Right.
And he was an Irish American born in California to Irish parents.
Yeah,
so
he
gen. Was.
Yeah.
Hogan was so closely connected to the Democratic political machine that police not only feared him, but protected him. So this is the guy that Adelard Leo Coonan, who's going to become George Bug Moran, got in with. And he was good friends with, who was a legitimate first generation Irish American.
Right. And then obviously in order for him to get any kind of respect or upward mobility within the Irish mob, he had to pretend to be Irish then, did he?
Nope. But his mentor was this guy Hogan.
Yeah.
And reciprocally, Moran was liked by Hogan. Like they liked each other.
Yeah.
They were two people that meet for whatever reason and they go, this is a decent fucking guy. I like him. Yeah. For whatever reason, wherever your morality is, they liked each other.
I like this guy.
Yeah.
He's
I like the cut of his chip.
He's a funny guy.
Okay, let's hold off.
Let's not go with the Goodfellas crap yet.
Yeah, and let's hold off on our impressions.
Tell him Tony Soprano sent you. The reason I was saying that, and I'm pretty sure the Irish mob is not as kind of hierarchical as the Sicilian mob. But like, if you weren't Sicilian, you were nothing in that organization. So that's what I was kind of thinking. Was he kind of masquerading as an Irishman to get the kind of the bit of kudos?
Well, if he masqueraded, which he didn't, there's no evidence of.
Yeah, well, his name, Moran's a really Irish
and we're
name.
getting there. You hold off.
Sorry.
If he masqueraded as an Irish American and that be found out, you can be sure he'd have had the shit shot out of him for that.
Probably.
Yeah. But the Italian mafia was a bigger organization than the Irish mafia.
Yeah.
So maybe the Irish would have lowered their bar for entry.
For who could be
significantly, that kind of thing. But as I said, Hogan was so closely connected to the democratic political machine that police not only feared him, they protected him.
Yeah, so
he was well in there.
He had senators and congressmen in his pocket, like, which is always the way, isn't it?
Or he did favours for it. And I'm not sure if it's all the way. This is
with organised crime, it tends to be the way. That's what I'm saying.
Like, they get their finger into every pie, don't they?
Yeah, judges, politicians,
He was closely connected with this democratic political machine, whatever you want to fucking call it, until 1928, when his enemies blew him the fuck up with a car bomb.
This is Hogan.
Hogan, and killed him. That's it. He's gone. Okay? It said that Bugs Moran, and maybe this is why he was so ingratiated with the Irish mafia.
Right.
I don't know. I honestly don't know. But it said that Bugs Moran stood guard outside the Hogan's family home in case there was an attempt on the family's life too.
Right.
After Hogan had been killed.
Yeah.
So he stood there, obviously with a fucking Thompson
Tommy
machine
gun,
gun. Tommy gun or something like that.
Yeah.
That would have just got him brownie points.
Yeah.
It was like, this is a good fucking guy. Let's do something with him. Let's give him something. Yeah. Anyway, at some point, Adlard Leo Coonan, George Bug Moran, adopted the name George Moran, possibly because he was, and I did read this in one place, but not in anywhere else. And you know me in double checking and all that kind of shit. So that's why I'm saying possibly, because he was caught by police and he gave a name.
He gave a fake name.
George Moran.
Right, okay.
Because he was in jail 3 times. So when did the 3 strikes and you're done?
That's only a very recent thing.
So that's probably why. I mean, this would have been his 4th time. And maybe he'd been caught a bunch of times for like misdemeanors and shit like that.
So he knew he was going away for a long time.
He gave a fake name.
Right, okay.
And he gave George Moran, apparently.
Right.
He fucking legged it to Chicago. And this is 1928 or thereabouts. Over the next few years, he rose through the ranks of the Irish mafia. So he was very much ingrained in the St. Paul, Minnesota, because that's where he was.
Right.
And he said, fuck this shit. I'm going to get done and banged up for the rest of my life.
So I'm getting out of Dodge.
So he went to Chicago, right? This is 1928, and Prohibition came around in 1920.
Yeah.
1920 to 1933.
I know, yeah. It seems bizarre, doesn't it?
It's just ridiculous.
Is it though? If you think about it then, I know I mentioned this to you off air that I kind of have my own views on prohibition and stuff, right? It's easy for us to sit here and say, banning alcohol, blah, blah. Look at the damage alcohol does to society, though.
I'm not arguing that.
Yeah, there's an argument for, no, I'm not sitting here saying we should ban alcohol, right? But what I'm saying is, what we're talking about now, Class A drugs and whatever else, and it's completely normal for those to be, prohibited for obvious reasons, for very obvious reasons. And I suppose alcohol, if you looked at it medically and that, there is an argument for banning it. I certainly don't support that argument, but I'm just saying there is an argument. But we fail to learn lessons, though, from the prohibition of alcohol in America. Now, I'm not advocating for the legalisation of drugs here. Let's be very clear about that, right? But you look at the organised crime that grows up around anything that's prohibited. Like you have the bootleggers in America that I'm sure we're going to get into now.
So what is your... I'm not saying what is your point that I don't understand. What is you're saying alcohol does a lot. Hang on. You're saying alcohol does a lot of damage.
Yeah.
But equally, banning alcohol does a lot of damage. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, kind of, yeah. And the same argument can be made about drugs. I'm not making that argument. I'm just pointing out that you could make the same argument about drugs. That as bad as drugs are, having them illegal leads to organised crime.
Yeah, I'd agree. Again, I'm not advocating.
Now, having said that, once prohibition was lifted in America, obviously organised crime wanted to get that money from somewhere. That's where drugs came from. You can make that argument too. That they started to flood the market with drugs. I think that's a bit spurious. Well, I don't mean it's where it came from, but they certainly, they weren't going to give up their business. You know what I mean? and their income. So they're making their income out of illicit alcohol. Alcohol became legal. They found something else to trade in.
I don't know enough to counter that point, but I think they would have had as I said a few minutes ago, their finger in a lot of boys. You know?
Yeah. Oh, you know, absolutely. I mean, they had everything there. The numbers game in America is something that's always fascinated me. You ever heard of the numbers? That, you know, all these mob bosses run, or all these mob organizations run the numbers.
I've heard it said, but I don't know what it is.
It's really ingenious, actually. It's back in the day before kind of like, you know, like the lotto.
Yeah.
Like basically you pick 3 numbers, right?
Yeah.
And the 3 winning horses from 3 randomly selected racetracks on that day is the numbers. No, actually not fucking, no, I'm sorry. It's not even that. You pick 3 numbers, right? And the numbers are taken from the overall bookies take at 3 given racetracks, the last 2 digits of the overall take that the bookie took. Because it was always published in the paper.
Yeah.
Actually, it's something along them lines anyway. But it was always published in the newspaper. It was either the attendance or the bookie's take. I'm not sure which it was, right? And it was the last 2 digits taken from 3 different racetracks in America. And that was your 3 numbers.
But that's 6 numbers.
Yeah, no, like they were all always double-digit numbers you had to pick.
Right, okay.
Yeah, so it was that between 10 and 99.
Yeah.
You know, basically.
Oh, I get you.
Yeah. So, and it was the last 2 digits from 3 different racetracks, and that was where your numbers came from. And it was all done because gambling was illegal in America outside of Vegas or Atlantic City or whatever. Okay. So again, prohibition.
Well, okay, I was astonished that prohibition happened in the first place. Completely astonished that there'd be enough of a push against alcohol.
Yeah.
Now, we just spoke about the dangers of alcohol,
blah,
blah, blah.
I know, but we're talking 1920s.
I know,
they wouldn't have understood most of the medical dangers.
You see, I'm not talking medically.
No,
I'm talking about its impacts in society.
I think it was more puritanical than that, though.
It was. It was the temperance movement.
Yeah.
And I saw a picture online while I was looking all this up of a meeting of a temperance group about prohibition.
Yeah.
In 1899.
Yes.
And it was packed. And it was like looking at a basketball arena packed without the space in the middle for the basketball court.
Right, okay.
It was packed.
An arena full of people.
Packed.
Just for a temperance meeting? That's mad.
It was a temperance meeting. Yeah. And when prohibition was passed, it went through the 2 houses, Senate and House of Representatives.
That's it.
And it was unanimous.
Unanimous?
It was a landslide. So, I mean...
That's in 1890, you said, was it?
No.
No, sorry.
1899 was that meeting.
Right,
but
sorry.
It would have been the build-up to 1920.
Right, that's
would have been when the temperance movement was when prohibition
was it just kind of European immigrants that were...
I don't know.
You know.
I don't know.
The Puritans, is that what they called them?
It was the
Pilgrims and the
Puritans of alcohol and what this doing. And maybe there was a lot of fucking people locked on the street. Yeah. Look at the state of them on cheap hooch or whatever, and fucking maybe there was no drink driving bans, and I'm sure there wasn't.
Yeah.
But there was enough weight behind this movement.
Yeah, I'd love to know who was driving it though, because you know yourself, follow the money.
They all were.
You know?
They all were. And the fact that it went through the 2 houses and it was voted
unanimously, that's crazy.
So there was a lot of political weight behind it, and I'm not saying any of them were bought and paid for. Possibly they were.
It just seems so waspy though, doesn't it?
It does.
White Anglo-Saxon Protestants. Yeah. You know, it's Yeah.
It is, but it was fucking nuts.
Yeah. Are they the only Christian nation to ever ban alcohol completely like that? I wonder.
I don't know. I honestly don't.
I can't think of another country that's done it, outside of the obvious ones for religious reasons or whatever, but it's an interesting one.
I don't know. I honestly can confidently say I don't know.
Right, but anyway, it led to some unforeseen circumstances because I don't think any of them seen the speakeasy and all that stuff.
Which we will get into.
Yeah.
Slow your roll.
Yeah, no, of course,
Bugs Moran, when he got to Chicago, over the next couple of years, he worked his way up through the ranks.
Yeah, the Irish mob,
of the mob. And he started to run bootlegging, but we're 8, 9, 10 years into Prohibition at this age.
Okay, so it took a while before they got
9, 10, 11 years into Prohibition.
Now, is that before bootlegging became a thing or before Bugsy got involved?
I'd say they were all into it. No, I'd say they were all into it. And
from the start.
I think Capone was into it.
I was, absolutely. No, what I'm asking you was, is there like 8 or 9 years where there's no alcohol and then all of a sudden they start bootlegging? Or was it from
I'd say
that's when Bugsy got into it?
I'd say there was 8 or 9 days.
That's what I would have expected. So you're saying Bugsy got involved 8 or 9 years later. Right. Okay.
Bugs Moran got involved in bootlegging, ran for the Irish mob against the Italian mob and Capone. And they became rivals, and a feud started. And Bugs Moran, because of his Catholic upbringing, hated Capone and what he was doing with his prostitution and his fucking houses of ill repute or disrepute, or whatever you want to call it. But he fucking hated that. When I was talking a little while ago and I said, however moral, whatever your stance is, so in quotation marks.
He did have a line.
He had a red line. A line in the sand that you do not cross.
That's fair enough.
And I will run bootlegging and cheap hooch, and I will fucking kill the shit out of you if you get in my way.
Yeah.
Don't come near me with prostitution.
It's like in The Godfather where Vito refuses to get involved in drugs.
Yeah, well, they all have, I mean, however far back your line in the sand is perfectly okay with, kill him,
intimidation, murder, prostitution, but no, don't get messed up in drugs.
That's it.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
If I'm thinking correctly, that wasn't even a moral thing. It was just he seen the heat it was going to bring.
Well, no, he was so vehemently against it, apparently. Like gambling and prostitution.
I'm on about in The Godfather when he's against drugs. I was just going to correct him myself. It was more to do with he's seen how hard they were going to clamp down on it. They didn't need that heat.
I looked and read nothing about The Godfather.
Yeah, I know. Come here. It's a fictional thing. I just pulled that out of the air.
Or the Untouchables or anything like that.
Yeah, Elliot Ness and all those guys. That's
who does crop up.
Isn't it? Yeah, that's why.
I didn't even go down that angle, but
I must watch that movie again. Actually,
it's a great movie.
I wonder if there's any good books on it as well, because
I'm sure there is.
These things and that.
It's a great movie.
It is, actually. I like Kevin Costner, though. I have to say, I do. I like all his movies, really. Except Waterworld. No one's allowed to like Waterworld. What a terrible movie.
Yeah. I didn't like Waterworld, but he's done some good stuff. Yeah.
I can't think of a bad movie.
And The Bodyguard. Fuck that.
Oh, yeah. I actually forgot he was in that.
Okay, so I'm thinking of Field of Dreams. I'm thinking of Dancing with Wolves. I'm thinking of The Untouchables, which is all thumbs up, Kevo.
Yeah, great stuff, Kev. And what's the other baseball when he done the Rookie or something, wasn't it?
I don't fucking know. I didn't see that.
Not a great film. Field of Dreams was one of my ma's favourite films, so I always think of her when I watch it. That's a great fucking movie. And we're going so far off topic, Del, sorry.
That's Paul for you.
All this talk of movies, and I haven't even mentioned Bugsy Malone yet.
he keeps calling him Bugsy, so yes,
it's a Bugsy Malone.
Yeah, I know. You keep saying Bugsy.
Yeah.
It's not. It's George Bugs Moran.
He was Bugsy Moran.
Yeah,
Jesus.
You say
Even you watched the what you call Perfect Storm. Have you ever seen the Perfect Storm?
No.
There was one of the crew members on the Andrea Gale was called Michael Moran. Guess what his nickname was?
Yeah.
Bugsy. Not Bugs. Bugsy.
Yeah, and he was probably called Bugsy from fucking Bugsy Malone.
No, Bugsy Moran. His name was Moran. Michael Moran was his name.
I get that, but it's George Bugs Moran. Anybody a descendant of George Moran, come after Paul. Don't come after me. Their turf war started because Capone ran the South Side gang, like South Chicago. Yeah. And I think a lot of the West and a lot of the East. And George Moran, I want to say run, but obviously he had his bosses, ran the North Side.
Yeah,
so they were the North Side gang.
It's tough,
it's a turf war. Yeah.
Like every other bloody gang war, even the ones raging at the moment. Same thing.
Yeah. So
it's all about greed.
Capone was particularly Southside, but had vested interests and influence on the West and the East side. And they'd battle back and forward and all that kind of crap. Well, you can't think they all just...
And I think that's what I was kind of getting at there, like earlier, and I didn't make a really good point of it, was they were basically doing everything that the, modern day drug gangs do: fight over territory, fight over who can sell what, where, over fucking beer. Do you know what I mean? It's nuts. It
wasn't over beer.
Well, you know what I mean, alcohol.
No, it wasn't over alcohol.
Right.
It was dominance.
Yeah.
It was domination of the other one and the crime. And from the position of Al Capone, it was gambling and prostitution, and it was money. It wasn't just
that's what I'm saying, but the most lucrative thing they did was fucking bootlegging and speakeasies. And, that was their bread and butter. The other stuff was only cream, on the top.
No, I think it's the other way around.
Do you?
Yep.
Do you not think that, there really wasn't organised crime as such? There wasn't gangs, there wasn't mafia before Prohibition. It was Prohibition that kind of birthed all of that.
I'm not saying it didn't, but
I'm saying the reason for that is that's where the big money was.
Gambling and prostitution was a bigger slice of the pie
than
alcohol.
That's not my understanding of it now at all.
Okay.
But maybe
no.
It'd be worth looking up anyway.
Gambling?
Yeah, but gambling was small time there. It was like numbers games and stuff like that. It wasn't a big operation. Bearing in mind, gambling was illegal outside of Vegas, remember? In the States.
Which is why I think it was a big thing. I don't think it was a small thing.
Like, if you were a bookie at a race course, you were making a few quid at gambling. But otherwise...
And you don't think they would have looked at that and said, here, fuck
Oh, yeah, no, they were. Absolutely, they were, they were bookies at race courses, all right. But where most of the mob stuff was the kind of street con, or, throwing dice, or the numbers games, things like that. It was pennies.
We'll agree to disagree. No, okay. I don't think so. I think they were all significant money draws. I think.
Yeah, they were all more money. Absolutely, absolutely. But I'm pretty sure.
I'd be interested.
Alcohol was the big one. It was the drugs of today. I mean, I'm sure organised gangs now today are into, prostitution and gambling and whatever else. But drugs is where the money is. Drugs is where the big money is. And I think it was the same for alcohol back then. I'm pretty sure it was that. It makes sense that it would have been.
I think, yes, it absolutely was. But I think gambling and prostitution was, if it was smaller, it was a marginally smaller cog in the whole mechanism.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Like, they weren't willing to give up any of their avenues,
which is
any of
what
their revenue streams,
about.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
When the same Valentine's Day massacre took place, Capone was vacationing in Florida and wasn't even in Chicago at the time.
Right, yeah.
Now,
that was the usual for him, though, wasn't it?
Although he wasn't even in the city, everybody and their mother thinks that he's the guy that gave the order.
Of course.
Yeah. But he was never pinned for it. He was never, he did this. And they never got the guys who did it.
Teflon Don, wasn't that what
nobody
what they called him?
No. Are you talking about the fucking Godfather again?
No, the
John Gotti is the Teflon Don.
Oh, John Gotti, sorry, yes.
That was the 80s, wasn't
it? Yeah. Yeah, but I mean, Al Capone was the same. They could never make anything stick until they could.
No, they only ever got him on tax evasion.
Yeah, on tax evasion.
They never got him on anything else.
Yeah.
So leading up to the massacre, Capone's gang murdered Moran's friend and mentor, Dean O'Banion, which sounds very Irish.
It's a name I know.
Okay, I'm not hanging around with Paul.
No. No, I know where it's coming from. It's nothing to do with that. I'll tell you later.
In response to Capone's gang murdering Dean O'Banion, George Moran and another associate tried unsuccessfully to kill a guy called Johnny Torrio, Capone's mentor. Later, September 20th, 1926, Moran and other gang members tried to kill Capone himself, firing more than 1,000 shots into an inn that Capone was at.
Jesus, into a pub, like?
Yeah, or a restaurant, pub, eatery.
Yeah, and whatever. I suppose, I mean, from all those gangster movies from that era, that's what you always kind of remember, is the mass kind of just scattergun, just bang.
1,000 shots.
Didn't care who the fuck got in the way, like.
Well, Shouldn't have hired the fucking A-team to shoot up the place. Should have.
Yeah,
Should have got somebody else.
Yeah, someone that can hit a target.
Sorry, I'll qualify that.
The A-team had a load of stormtroopers.
He shouldn't have hired the 1980s TV show, The A-Team, to shoot up the place.
That's what I wanted with the A-team and the fucking stormtroopers.
Fucking
couldn't hit shit. Couldn't hit water if they fell out of a boat.
This back and forward, tit for tat.
Yeah.
And then Capone went, fuck it, we're not letting this slide. And he took another associate of Moran's, Earl Weiss, W-E-I-S-S.
Weiss.
Earl Jaime Weiss, out of the picture. So we killed him as well. So it was, you kill one of us, we're going to kill one of you. But it's from the point of Moran, you kill us, we're going to kill one of you, which we failed to do. They kill another one of us.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, like we've tried to kill him.
So he's fighting a losing battle.
Yeah, it's still the same today.
Yeah.
Like it really is.
A year later, a Chicago detective killed another of Moran's associates, leaving Moran as the sole leader of the Northside gang. Right. So he's having all of his hierarchy.
His lieutenants are all being whacked.
Yeah.
Right.
Everybody's gone.
Is that good for him or bad for him, though? Puts him in total control.
It depends on your point of view. Yeah.
Puts him in total control.
By 1929, Moran had put a $50,000 bounty on Capone's head.
That's a lot of money back then.
Yeah, big time. Capone said, not quoted, but he said, right, I've had enough of this bollocks. You're fucking done. And February 1929, Moran got word that a seller was looking to offload a massive supply of Canadian whiskey.
Right.
He sent 7 of his men to pick up the delivery. Back and forward talks. And let's do this. And this is where it's going to be. So George Bug Moran said, I have this garage and this is where the delivery is to be made to. And he sent 7 of his men to the garage that he owned. Right. That was part of his. Right, his fucking
operation.
Real estate wallet or fucking portfolio or whatever you want to call it.
Or lock up to the use.
Yeah. And said, drop it there. And he sent 7 of his men to this garage that he owned on North Clark Street. There, the 7 men were met by 4 strangers, 2 of whom were dressed as police. And thinking they were legitimately police, it was like, up against the wall, lads.
Right.
They followed orders. And you go up against the wall and you might be saying, you motherfucker.
Yeah.
If
I'm
looking for the first chance I get to pull a gun on you guys, but they had guns pulled on them.
Right.
2 men who weren't in uniform and 2 men who were in uniform killed the shit out of 7 guys. 10:30 in the morning.
Right.
7 men belonging to Bug's Northside gang were killed.
Right.
6 outright, and as I said at the beginning, when I said that I'd squeal on everybody, 1 guy was left alive. The police got there to try to interview him. Who did this? Who did this to you? Who did this? Tell us and we'll get them. Wouldn't say a fucking thing. And took...
Is it possible that he wouldn't say a thing because he still thought they were cops?
Well, they were.
No, I mean the guy that shot them. They're wearing cop uniforms.
That he wouldn't say a thing because...
Because he thought it was cops that shot him.
Why wouldn't you say to the cops that actually got there?
Because they're dirty, they just shoot you and finish off.
Well, he's got 30 seconds to live.
Probably doesn't know he's dying though. You know what I mean?
I've never nearly died before, but I'd imagine if you've had the shit shot out of you and you...
Maybe. Yeah, no, I'm just wondering, like, why wouldn't he rat them? That's what I don't get, like.
It's the honour among thieves.
Yeah, but they're your arch enemies. That's not even honour. Yeah, I suppose you don't talk to the law.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
First rule of Fight Club.
Yeah, you don't talk about
Fight Club. Second rule of Fight Club.
Don't know. I've never seen it, so I don't know.
Don't talk about Fight Club.
Right, can we not talk about Fight Club in the podcast then?
It's brilliant.
I know how it ends. I seen the bloody last 10 minutes of it and that ruined it, obviously.
Ah, you fool.
I know. Yeah, no, I come in one night. My dad was watching it. This way back when I was living at home. My dad was watching it and kind of sat down and I watched the last 10, 15 minutes of it. Completely ruined the movie.
It's great. It's fucking deadly.
It's a genius idea.
It's class. And it's a great movie.
It's okay to spoil it now, isn't it? I think everybody in the world has fucking seen it by now, hasn't they?
And if
the idea that was all in his head, wasn't it?
Listen, to anybody who hasn't seen Fight Club yet, and Paul, if you didn't hear a couple of seconds ago, ruined it, but is about to ruin it again.
Turn off.
Tough shit.
20 seconds.
No, tough shit. You've had decades to watch it and you haven't bothered.
Yeah, what is it? Brad Pitt is a figment of Ed Norton's fucking imagination the whole time, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a split personality thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
And then
Tyler Durden or something.
Tyler Durden. And then two guys observe Ed Norton boxing the shit out of himself. And they're like, what the fuck is this? And that's how the whole thing gets into it.
Yeah.
But it's really
I must
good.
actually watch it.
It's really good. Yeah. It's deadly. And Helena Bonham Carter is really good.
Oh, I love her. She's
brilliant.
She's dead. Great actress.
Great quality actress.
Really.
But anyway, they've all been killed. 6 of them outright. 7 dies a couple of minutes later. And from what I was reading, it seems to me that if George Moran, he must have seen the real police there after the shooting because they arrived afterwards.
Yeah.
There's gunfire and heavy gunfire, blah, 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 blah. And so they all arrived. He must have seen them because if he had seen the 4 guys
doing the shoot,
holding the 7 guys against the wall, surely he would have intervened.
Probably, yeah.
You know, and he wouldn't have been
seen the aftermath of it anyway.
He would have had a careful henchman.
Yeah.
Or what was left of him at that stage, and said, fucking in here. So he must have seen the real police.
Yeah.
That were there at the end of it. He got the fuck out of Dodge. Al Capone was nowhere to be seen. He was in Florida. And I read a quote where George Moran said, this is Al Capone's work. This is what Al Capone does. And Al Capone, when he was confronted with it, said, this is exactly what George Moran does. This is his thing. This is not me. This is nothing to do with me. And he was never, he was never flustered. Yeah, you know, I watched him, and I'm not
just
talking
an ordinary
about
businessman.
I'm not talking about the Untouchables, but I watched no audio or very bad audio from the day, but he never looked flustered.
No,
he was
cool as a cucumber.
Yeah, slick as shit.
Just an ordinary
and that's not out of admiration.
No, ice cold.
After that, all the events leading up to it had left George Bug Moran in control of the Northside gang.
Yeah.
Then 7 of his men were taken out.
Yeah, so he has no army. He's a general with no army now.
12 men have been taken out.
Yeah.
10 to 12 men have been taken out over the past couple of years.
Yeah.
Okay. After that, the Northside gang went into decline and stopped being less effective.
Yeah.
Would have had less and less territory to defend and maintain, and wouldn't have been able, all that kind of crack. And the whole thing just fell apart. In 1946, George Moran was arrested for a bank robbery and subsequently sentenced to 10 years. When he got out in 1956, his wife had left him. He sounds like a country and western song. Wife has left me and my dog died. His wife had left him. His dog probably died, and he had no money. He was broke. Absolutely broke. No one wanted to know him. You've got no money, you're no use to anybody.
So this story has a happy ending.
Yeah, totally. And they all lived happily ever after.
Poorly. They all lived poorly ever
after. Well, they didn't live ever after either, so let's just go. Right. Yeah. Okay. He got out in 1956, wife left him, no money, no one wanted anything to do with him. And shortly after he was released, he was re-arrested for a 1945 bank job.
Right.
So he was caught and arrested in 1946, sentenced to 10 years, let out in 1956, re-arrested for a robbery that happened the year before the one he was convicted for.
Yeah.
So
there's a bit of a witch hunt, you know. Well, not a witch. You know what I mean? They're making a concerted effort to take him down, basically.
They're like, yeah, look, this guy, he's got a sheet as long as your fucking arm.
Yeah.
And he's done all this shit.
He's got blood in his hands.
After he gets out and walks out, goes around the corner or whatever, just re-arrest him.
Yeah, lift him again.
They banged him up again. Yeah. So
and was that Elliot Ness or was that
No. Elliot Ness was concentrated on Al Capone.
Yeah, but did he not go after organised crime in general, no?
Oh, he did, but it was all Al Capone.
All he wanted.
Yeah.
He wanted that gang,
Yeah. After he got arrested and sent back to prison for the 1945 bank job, he died of lung cancer while still in prison on February 25th, 1957. That's the end of George Bug Moran, the non-Irish, Irish-American gangster.
So, by my maths, then he basically spent the whole of World War II in prison.
Pretty much. Yeah.
Worst places to spend it?
Yeah, no, you know what? No, I still wouldn't want to spend it in prison. Nope. Al Capone, back to Al. Al Capone was eventually sent to Alcatraz for 11 years on October 17, 1931.
Yeah.
And he was sent there for tax evasion because he hadn't paid tax on
any of his income.
Any of his gains. No, it's not true because prostitution is illegal, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, and so was booze. But he'd imported Canadian whiskey, among other stuff, and he hadn't paid tax on it. And they were like, we can't get him because he's very hands-off his alcohol import operation.
But Canadian whiskey not illegal in and of itself, though.
They couldn't tie him to it.
Right, how did they get one?
Well, they'd seize some of it. They'd seize some of it, and it'd be somebody in Al Capone's operation, but they couldn't tie him to it.
Then how could they charge him for tax on something they couldn't tie him to? That's what I'm saying.
Because it was his business, and he was like, Paul imported that stuff.
Oh, I know what you mean. Yeah, he was the director.
So some guy imported
he's liable for tax.
Some guy imported it in my organisation. That's got nothing to do with me, and they couldn't make anything stick.
Right.
And so the fact that it was imported and used by the organisation and no tax was paid on it, they were like, fucking come here to me.
How can you pay tax on an illegal?
It's an odd one, isn't it? It's what's that thing? The RICO.
Yeah,
you know the RICO.
I do know. Yeah. I'm just trying to think what it stands for.
So I never knew.
Organised criminals, anyway.
I didn't know it was an acronym.
It is, but
you can...
The RICO statute.
You can charge somebody with a crime because they're associated in an organisation. So you can charge everybody. So they must have gotten with that, you know? And they, for 11 years, sent him down to Alcatraz. Now, George Bug Moran died a pretty lonely existence, you would say. And maybe deserved. But he ended up dying of cancer in prison after being rearrested, after being sent down for 10 years, blah, blah, blah.
Although, by the sound of him, he was more of an ordinary, decent criminal than
There's no such thing as an ordinary, decent criminal. But he had a bit of ignominious departure.
Right.
Al Capone's was way worse.
Yeah, they shot up Al Capone's coffin, didn't they?
No, they didn't. And maybe they did, but before that, where do you hear this stuff?
I just remember watching old black and white movies back in the day, and stuff. I don't know, maybe it makes it
okay.
I did read a bit on it as well back in the day. That's a long time there.
Okay. After being released in 1939 from Alcatraz due to a combination of good behaviour and his medical condition, he was released from Alcatraz. So that's 8 years later. Okay, so 2 years.
8 of 10.
8 of 11.
8 of 11, yeah.
So 3 years short. When he was head of his fucking organisation, all this kind of, he frequented and quite often sampled the people in his whorehouses.
Right.
Right? So he had sex with them. He contracted syphilis there.
Oh, no way.
And being so embarrassed about having syphilis, sorry, I just hit my mic. Being so embarrassed about having syphilis, he never got treated for it.
Right.
Now, I didn't look up what syphilis is because I kind of don't want to know.
Nasty.
Yeah, but it can be treated with penicillin.
Yeah.
Right? So it's pretty easy to treat, apparently.
Not if you're allergic to fucking penicillin like me. So I hope I never fucking get it.
I hope I never get it again. Okay. Too ashamed to seek treatment, he did the next best thing.
What?
He ignored it and hoped it would go away.
And
it didn't. Yeah, it did. The harmful microbes that hang around with syphilis not only did a job on his internal organs, they did a job on his brain after a while. Okay? Yeah, it penetrates and fucking destroys your organs apparently, and then makes its way to your brain and destroys that too.
It's a horrible way to go.
Yeah.
It liquefies your insides.
At the time of dying, it was said he had the mental capacity of a 12-year-old.
Jesus.
Yeah.
So your average gangster then, really?
From his release from prison to his death, he was fighting a losing battle with syphilis. Now, he would have had to undergo a medical of some description in hospital, especially if he became in prison.
Yeah.
Or in the prison hospital.
Yeah, very rudimentary, I think, though, aren't they?
But there's a duty of care that they would have still had to uphold. And for the sake of the population as well, the prison population.
Of course,
it would have been discovered that he had syphilis.
Right.
Then the cat's out of the bag. And then he starts getting treated for it. Right. And then they start treating him with penicillin. But it was too late.
Too late. Yeah. It's gone.
It had been left too long.
Well, once your brain is damaged, it doesn't repair anyway. So
that's it. Yeah. When he got released, it was knowledge that he had syphilis and he was being treated for it.
Right. That didn't go down well with his cronies, I'm sure.
He would have been well out of the picture at that stage, I think.
He's an old man.
I mean, yeah. And he was getting more mentally simple as time went on, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So he was released on November 16, 1939, treated for syphilis until January 25th, 1947. And when he died on January 25th, 1947, he had been, January 20th, 1947, he had seizures and limbs shaking, all that kind of thing. And he was treated. And what's the famous hospital? St. John's? Hopkins? Is that the hospital?
Yeah.
They refuse him.
John Hopkins,
so they wouldn't take him. They were like, nope, get him the fuck out of here.
No.
And it's probably got nothing to do with syphilis. But nope.
It's just Al Capone.
He's not welcome. And so they wouldn't treat him. And they eventually got him in somewhere else. And I can't remember the name of the place they got them. But they stabilized them.
Cedar Sinai or something, yeah.
I don't know. But they stabilized them. And on the 25th, 1947, he died of a stroke. And apparently it was out of the blue. It just fucking happened.
And you're dead.
Well, no, I don't mean bang, and you're dead. I mean, there
was no warning signs that he was going to have a stroke.
Al, how are you feeling? Do you want a glass of water? No, I'm fine. Thanks very much. And then, bang, it was gone.
Yeah.
So it happened out of the blue. Out of the blue in the sense that it happened, click of a finger, done. But hadn't it been building up?
Of course, yeah.
So
syphilis and brain damage and everything fucking else going with it, of course.
Prohibition was repealed on the 5th of December, 1933.
Yeah.
What an outrageous...
Just in time for the war.
What an outrageously bad decision Prohibition was.
Yeah, definitely. It just led to so much fucking...
Mayhem
and fucking devastation and... and that was the point I was trying to make earlier. Like, Prohibition doesn't work. We have to find another way. As I said, I'm not advocating for the fucking legalization of Class A drugs, but look at the fucking crime and fucking murder and shit that our own city has had to put up with as a result of the prohibition of drugs, Has to be another way.
Every city.
Yeah.
Every city.
I know,
But, again, I'm not advocating for legalization of fucking heroin or cocaine or all that kind of shit. And look at the prescription drug epidemic in the US.
Christ,
It's
getting as bad here too.
I'm not advocating for any of that, but stuff like medicinal marijuana, all that kind of thing, I would hugely be in favor of.
Yeah.
And that I don't take medicinal marijuana.
No, I don't myself.
And even education on it, because the compound medicinal marijuana CBD oil, THC is the
bit that makes you high.
The getting high.
Yeah.
That's what it is. CBD oil.
You can actually take out the THC.
Yeah. Isn't. And the fact that they just blanket ban everything.
I know. Yeah.
There's a discussion to be
had.
had.
CBD oil is a bit more readily available now.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
But there's a discussion.
There is, but I think an overall kind of discussion for me, I think, drug addiction in particular should be treated as a medical concern, not a criminal justice one. I honestly feel that we should be putting more resources into trying to cure addiction, to help addiction, than just locking them away. Now, obviously, fucking selling supply is a different thing altogether, but I'm just saying, this idea of doing people for fucking possession or whatever, it just makes things worse. It doesn't help, and then they get into debt, and then they're enticed into crime then through debt, and it's just... Yeah.
Well, look, there's a discussion to be had, and
this probably isn't
I'm qualified to have an opinion, but I'm not qualified to have that discussion yet.
Yeah, I'm exactly the same. Yeah, no, it's just...
You're not
I'm not the expert, but...
You're not a Simpsons watcher.
I have seen The Simpsons. I know it's
Did you see the Prohibition episode?
I think I did. Was that the one where they had the Irish going fucking...
No. It's a result. It's a result of that. The ban comes in because
of the riots on Paddy's Day.
The green fight the orange. Yeah. They're boxing the shit out of each other. Yeah. Fucking, and I think Bart has one of those. Bart has one of those vuvuzela things.
Oh Jesus!
And there's drink being thrown around off floats passing on the bread.
And he's
one of them, and it becomes a drink thing, and then he's locked. It's like, what are you looking at? Fucking hilarious. But Homer becomes the beer baron because there's prohibition.
I think
it's fucking hilarious.
I think I did.
And I watched it the other day, and it's fucking gas. And this guy who must be the fucking, what's your man's name? That's in The Untouchables.
Elliot Ness.
He's the Elliot Ness character, and he's looking out over nighttime sprawling Springfield, and he goes, "I'll get you, beer baron, if it's the last thing I do." And you hear this voice coming out of that way going, Homer going, "No, you won't." And he goes, "Yes, I will." And he goes, "Won't."
Come here, here's one for you. You're such a big Simpsons fan. I do expect you to know the answer to this. Why did they use Springfield as the name of the town?
Haven't a clue. Do
you not know?
No.
It's the most common town name in America.
All right. Okay.
So nobody could be insulted by thinking it was their town.
Yeah.
Or offended or whatever. It's the most common town name in America. There you go.
And now it would be, I wouldn't be offended if Springfield was my town.
But at the time, they were kind of worried that,
if
they set it in a real town, that it would cause problems.
Yeah, because I remember Marge was on the phone in an episode, and this is not the Bear Baron one, and Maud passes by, and she goes, "Yeah, that's Marge Simpson.
Love the sisters.
742 Evergreen Terrace, Springfield. Oh, hiya, Maud."
Yeah.
And just about to say Ohio.
Springfield, Ohio, yeah. And it is Springfield, Ohio. It's so always being considered that. It's that one.
That's excellent. But the Bear Baron episode is fucking hilarious.
Yeah.
So funny.
Must go and watch it. You wouldn't know what season it's in, do you? Come here, do you know where the Simpsons first debuted?
Tracy Ullman Show. Yeah. I remember that. And Homer's voice, really the guy who plays Homer,
Dan Castellaneta.
Did it then as well.
Yeah.
He changed Homer's voice because he went to them one day and he was like, "Lads, this is fucking murder doing this voice. How about if we do this?" And it was a better Homer Simpson voice. And that's when it changed.
We love Homer.
Yeah, Homer's great.
I was telling you actually on another podcast, wasn't it, about the X-Files episode where they had Homer in it?
Yeah.
It was at the same time they had done a Simpsons episode with Mulder and Scully.
Oh, right, I get you. And you're talking about X-Files. Yeah. I didn't watch that.
Did you not? Yeah, no, they go to this nuclear power station and Homer's there with his feet up on the desk. He's eating a fucking donut. And he's fucking up the job,
That's great.
Brilliant. Get the name back, Homer.
Anyway.
That's great.
Happy St. Valentine's Day Massacre, everybody.
Yeah, try not to get killed this year. Make sure you get your significant other some chocolates and a card, and then you won't get shot like Bugsy Moran's mates. bugs, Moran's mates.
Yeah. Okay. Look, have a good one.
Share the love.
See you next time.